All right. So next, we're gonna talk about for loop, and I'll create a new class for it and give it a name as for loop. Right. Now, what are for loop? So, what is the syntax of for loop? So the same thing. Let's say I want to print a number between 1 to 10. I'll be writing for loop like this: for and where the loop starts from. It starts from 1. Where up till where it goes? It goes up till 10. So this is a condition, right? This is a condition. If it is true, then the loop will gonna run, and then I plus plus. And here we are incrementing the value, right? So this is a syntax of for loop. Any loop will gonna work till if the condition is true, right? It will go inside this block if the condition is true. So if 1 is less than equal to 10, yes, it will go inside the for loop. So if I just write system out print ln and I'll write the value I over here, if I run this thing, it will gonna print from 1 till 10. Now let us understand this thing, right? This is the important thing in this loop. So what happened if I remove this I plus plus? What it will gonna do? If I run this, what will be the output of this loop? Just think for it. What will be the output of this loop? This is still a valid syntax, right? If it is not been valid, then the compiler must have thrown some error. So there is no error. This is a valid thing. Now what is happening over here? Initially the value of I is 1, and then the condition I is less than equal to 10. So this condition is true. What it will gonna do? It will go inside the loop, and if I run this, it will end up in an infinite loop, right? Because the value of I was never incremented. It was always 1 less than 10. It was always true. So it keep on incrementing, it keep on printing this statement. It didn't incremented the value of I, it keep on printing this statement. So it ended up in a infinite loop only, right? Same thing, if I remove this thing, still it is a valid statement. Now what it will gonna do? Just think of it. What will happen when I click run? What will happen? The value of I is 1, right? If I run this, still it keep on printing this loop, right? It keep on incrementing, it keep on printing the statement. It has never it never comes out of this loop. So why this thing happen? If we don't give anything over here, by default it treat this thing as true, right? By default this thing is true. So it never met the exit criteria, right? So that is the reason it again shows you the same thing, right? And tell me one thing more: what happens if I don't write anything over here? Let's say if I print inside loop, what will happen? Same thing, we are not defining any value over here, but the loop is always true. So it keeps on printing inside loop for infinite times. So this is a syntax of for loop, how we can use the for loop. The very first thing that comes inside for loop is a declaration, the value that we have declared to a variable. The second thing is the boolean condition, and the third thing is the incremented value. Same thing like we have done in case of a while loop. So while loop or a do while loop, this is what we are declaring I as 1, right? Then the condition, if the condition is true, then it will increment the loop. So the same thing, we are doing it in one statement over here. This is what your for loop is. Even if I want to do it in a form of a while loop, I can do it like this. I remove all these things from here, but it's mandatory that this loop should have at least 2 semicolons. If I remove any one of the semicolon, then the compiler will gonna throw an error, right? So this is mandatory. This loop should have at least 2 semicolons. I can write over here like int I equal to 0, right? The condition I is less than equal to 10 and then it should print like I, right? And if I run this, what happens? Let us see. What we just did, we missed to increment the value of I, right? The one that we do it over here. So I 1 is less than equal to 10 and increment the value of I. If I run this thing, now it will gonna print 1 till 10, right? So this is how a for loop works. So far we have seen three sort of loops. One is a while loop, the second one is do while loop, and the third one is for loop. Right. Each one of these loop has its own significance. Right. It's not that we can only use for loop. What is the purpose of while loop? Why should we use while loop? When for loop, I can directly specify the condition over here, right, and I can just increment the value within this one statement only. What is the purpose of while loop, right? It's nothing like that. Each loop has its own significance. If I talk about while loop, right, what is the difference between a while and a for loop? In a while loop, we generally use this loop when we don't know up till which condition we actually need to run the loop. Up till where, like we don't know the end point of the loop, right? We know from where we need to start, but we don't know from up till where we actually need to go. It means when the number of iterations are unknown, that is where your while loop is used. So when this while loop will run and when it will stop, let's say I have given the value of I as 1, right? In while loop, we know that from where we need to start. I'll take a practical example. Let's say I go to one of the website. I'll open up this website. Just give me a moment. I'm taking a real-time example. Let's say if you're working on Selenium or you're working on any other API, right? Even if you're reading Excel sheet from Java API and you're not, you don't know that how many rows are there inside that Excel sheet, and you need to run up till the end of that row. Even if I talk about, there are, let's say this form, there are 4 checkboxes over here. Right now, at this moment, we know that there are 4 checkboxes. The very first checkbox, let's say it starts from 1 and it goes up till 4. So if we know from where we need to start and where we need to go, we're gonna use a for loop over here, because in for we can directly, we know that from where we need to start and up till where we need to go, right? We know these two values. But in case of while loop, we know that if we talk about while loop, then let me comment out this again. And while the condition is true, right, then it should go inside it and increment the value. This is how it will gonna run. So we know that we need to start from 1, right? Let's say this is a dynamic section. This is the dynamic section, and right now it is showing 4 checkboxes. Next time it will show 5 checkboxes, and after that it will show 10 checkboxes. So we don't know up till where we need to run. What will be the last checkbox value, right? So we know that the very first is at 1. So we're going to check whether the first one is present or not. If yes, it will increment the value, and then it will go over here and increment it to 2. It will again look for the second one. If second one is present, then again increment it, then third, then fourth, and it will run up till the time it finds the last. Let's assume the last one is 10th one. So it will say whether the 10th one is present. Yes, true. Again increment it, and after that 11th one is not there. The I will come change to 11, and it will check whether the 11th one is there. No, it is not there, and it will come out of the loop. So when we don't know up till where we need to go, we only execute it with the help of a condition, true or false, right? Then we use this while loop. And if we are certain about we need to start from 1 and we need to go up till 10, this is where we use for loop. So in a for loop, number of iterations are known. Right, up till where we actually need to run, right? And similarly, if we talk about a do while loop, right? This loop runs at least for one time, at least for one time, irrespective of the condition, right? No matter the condition is true or false, this will at least gonna run, this do will at least gonna run for one time, and then after that, based on the condition, it will execute the do loop based on the while condition. So this is what your do while loop basically does. So let us again take a look at the slides, what we have seen so far. We have seen about the while loop, we have seen the syntax of do while loop, right? And now we have seen for loop. So in for loop, the initialization, condition checking, and updating of loop element is done inside one single line. So for initialization, I equal to 1, condition I is less than equal to 10, and increment the value by. Now here your code comes. So the initialization step is executed first and only once, right? This step will allow you to declare and initialize any loop control variable. And next, the boolean value. This condition is basically a boolean value. If it is true, the body of loop is executed. If it is false, the body of loop does not execute. And after the body of loop executes, the flow of control jumps back to the update statement again. This statement allows you to update any loop control variable. So if the body is executed and if the condition is true, next time it will gonna increment the value of I, basically whatever initialization we have done over here. So this is what your for loop is.